Charney, Honorable Financial Secretary Paul Chen, Chief Executive Eddie Yu, members of Hong Kong GFA, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Hong Kong Green Finance Association, which is also called Hong Kong GFA, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you for attending this third annual forum of our association. I should also thank the GFA team, especially the secretaries, for the very hard work in the past few months in organizing this wonderful event. It's going to be held in a hybrid mode, as Charney said, both online and offline. Over the past few years, Hong Kong has made substantial progress in developing its green financial system and is now hosting one of the largest green bond market in the world. The range of initiatives taken by the SAI government and regulators, including the launch of the Green and Sustainable Bond Scheme, the ESG disclosure requirement, and the Common Assessment Framework, have formed a very conducive ecosystem for sustainable finance development in Hong Kong. Hong Kong GFA was launched in 2018 with strong support from SAI government and regulators, including from Chief Executive Carrie Lam, Financial Secretary Paul Chen, and senior officials from FSTB, HKMA, SFC, and many other agencies. Our aim is to mobilize private sector participation in green investment and help position Hong Kong as an international green finance center. As of now, GFA has a membership of over 160 organizations, which is up by 30, namely from 130 from the same time last year. And our members include all major financial institutions and the green finance service providers based in Hong Kong. Our main activities include organizing capacity building events, developing policy recommendations, and establishing platforms to facilitate green finance transactions. The GFA ramped up its organizational structure at the end of last year, and we're now organizing our activities under 8 working groups. So we have now 16 co-chairs working actively on subjects such as banking, bond, insurance, ESG, private equity, policy research, green building, and external collaboration. Over the past 12 months, the GFA organized and co-organized 60 capacity building events. Let me make it clear, 60, not 16. And this number is up 100% from the same period last year. And I think it's also making us one of the most active, if not the most active, green finance associations in the world. These events cover many topics, including application of climate risk analysis, carbon accounting methodologies, sustainability-linked bonds, and ESG best practices for portfolio management. In collaboration with partners, we have also developed a range of policy recommendations, including on the unified Greater Bay Area carbon market and carbon connect mechanism, green finance policies and decarbonization roadmap for the Greater Bay Area, policies to support the green building sectors, and tax policies to attract infrastructure PE, which will be a piece we will release today at the forum. We also assisted regulators, including SFC and HKMA, in conducting industrial surveys and organized market responses, and actively participated in the work of cross-agency meeting of Hong Kong regulators. As for external collaboration, we co-hosted the second GBA GFA Forum. The full name of that is Greater Bay Area Green Finance Alliance Forum. And that forum was held in September this year, and it was attended by 300,000 people online. And we continue to support the implementation of the Green Investment Principles for the Belt and Road, which was co-organized by China Green Finance Committee and the City of London. Given Hong Kong's position as an international green finance center that should serve not only local clients, but also mainland China and the rest of the world, let me also say a few words on the global trends of green and sustainable finance and the implied opportunities for Hong Kong. On China, there are many estimates on the green investment demand against the backdrop of the country's carbon neutrality pledge. The most recent estimate coming from the China Green Finance Committee is that in the coming 30 years, China will need to have 487 trillion RMB for green and low carbon investments. And this is equivalent to about 16 trillion RMB per year. The acceleration of green investment in China is already quite evident. In the past 10 months, we've seen green bond issuance growing 140% year on year in China, and green loan growth was 26% year on year by the end of June this year. All of these numbers imply huge opportunities for green financial services, including those from Hong Kong. At the same time, the Chinese regulators are recognizing climate transition risks as a source of financial risk. For example, the PBOC is now requiring 21 large banks to conduct climate risk analysis, initially for 3 sectors, for coal-fired power generation, steel, and cement sectors. And I think the coverage is going to expand in the future. And also, climate risk disclosure will become mandatory in China. According to Governor Yi Gang recently, China PBOC will make the environmental information disclosure mandatory for financial institutions. So these requirements for climate risk analysis and disclosure will also create a lot of demand for services, including from Hong Kong. Moving on to the topic of international collaboration, let me briefly touch upon the G20 efforts, which I think is of global importance. The G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group, which I have the honor to co-chair, just released the G20 Sustainable Finance Roadmap. The roadmap points to a few areas of global collective efforts in the coming few years. Number 1, improving the comparability, interoperability, and consistency of sustainable finance taxonomies. Number 2, establishing an internationally consistent framework for sustainability reporting, which is ISSB. I will talk about that when I have the conversation with Eddie. And thirdly, improving transparency and consistency of ESG rating methodologies. Fourthly, establishing a credible framework for transition finance. And finally, expanding coverage of sustainable finance to include nature and biodiversity. I think in many of these areas, Hong Kong should strive to become a leader in developing the best practices and contributing to the formation of policy consensus globally. Specifically, I believe that Hong Kong is in the best position to advance the harmonization of taxonomies by adopting the Common Ground Taxonomy produced by the IPSF working group led by China and the EU. For example, Hong Kong can package Chinese green assets based on the Common Ground Taxonomy and sell to international markets. Hong Kong can also explore ways to further integrate with Greater Bay Area in green and low carbon development by exploring a unified GBA carbon market, mutual recognition of green building codes and green finance products, launching joint venture green tech funds, and digitizing green assets from China. Hong Kong GFA will continue to work with our members and the government in all these areas. Today's forum focuses on the topic of financing carbon neutrality in Asia, and I think it will highlight the role of carbon markets and innovative financial instruments in decarbonization in Asia. But I also hope that our participants can discuss ways to further expand the influence of Hong Kong, especially its financial services in the Greater Bay Area, in Asia and globally, to advance the green development agenda. Once again, thank you very much for joining our annual forum today, and I wish the conference a great success. Thank you.